because I knew my work would extend the lives of others, that perhaps I could improve the quality of life for someone who is sick and has a chronic illness, of which they will always have. It was cool working with cool technology and smart people and traveling and teaching and learning from others. And so many may not know that these fields carry with them such a larger purpose than just being STEM. STEM education for our girls needs to be sure that we look at a well-rounded wraparound coverage for our girls. We need support for their teachers, support for their parents, peer support. Colleges may need to be informed about the girls we're sending to them, and that they're worldwide, they're global thinkers, and that they want challenges, but they want meaning behind those challenges. College tours for kindergartners would make me happy. And STEM programs that happen at churches, doctor's offices, and community events, fairs, and zoos. Anywhere you can find them would be awesome to expose our girls to STEM. I thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all. I must tell you, at this STEM conference on women and girls, we have a powerful woman, the best timekeeper that has ever moderated a panel. She is keeping us on time, and we're marching to her timeline, right? Okay, okay. I found it fascinating, Donnie, when you said, how do you blur the lines? And what I'd love our first area of discussion to be, if you think about blurring the lines, what we have to do in this nation is blur the lines even beyond K-12, right? You have to blur the lines related to community and family. I mean, when we did a lot of research, and since some people are giving shout-outs, I have to give a shout-out to Barbara McAllister at Intel, who is watching and who is a black female technologist inside of Intel, and her passion is getting more girls, particularly more girls of color, into this. And she's done a lot of research led through our corporate affairs group, and there's a lot of people. So for all of you Intel-involved women at Intel that I have not mentioned your names, I just covered all of you. Thank you for joining. But what we really found was that in this country, engineering is still not as perceived and prestigious as other professions. So the blur the lines has to blur the lines everywhere. So you think about it, what I really wanted you guys to talk about and help us think through is, you have about, 25 to 30% of girls that do express that they want to go into computer science or engineering. And only about half of them, when they get to college, actually take action and decide they want to do it. And then of those half, 40% will change their mind between the first and second year. And then they come into the workplace and try and make it for a few years, and then more of them will leave. It is a diminishing number. And so when we say blur the lines, I'm wondering what you think about how we blur the lines and make all of what you guys have learned and doing so phenomenally well more consistent. I say this problem has been solved. It's been solved by one committed leader at one committed location with the passion and resources to do it. We know how to solve it. How do we blur the lines everywhere? So you guys want to give us your feedback on that?
So one of the ways that we're looking at things with the education effect is currently there's a engineering magnet. And in that magnet, there are 72 students total, of which 38 of them are girls. But the thing that's interesting is that these young ladies are motivated, they're inspired, but as they look to transition is they don't always have voice. And so they come to my office and they meet with our site coordinator and they talk about the things that they're doing and they talk about where they want to go, but they don't always know the process in order to get there. And even more, what will it look like when I get there, and who will look like me when I get there, and who will talk like me when I get there. But they do know poverty and they know struggle. And so we have to back up and ask them, how do we help you to develop strategies to help you to transition? But also, how do you articulate that transition? And so many times it's with one-on-one and mentoring. It's putting them into internships. It's also taking them to the college, but also connecting them with people that can talk their language. And sometimes it's going to the dining commons for them to see themselves in context like, wow, you mean I can eat that food? Because they have some concerns that, yes, I want them to go to college, but the concern is really not about getting to college, but about staying to college, but also about maintaining that sense of self. And so we really talk deliberately about, yes, becoming engineers and what the opportunity has for them, but we also talk about how do you also maintain that sense of self, family, and community as you transition. And so that they can articulate that process, and then we can coach them along the way.
Excellent.
When you talk about students going on to college, particularly female students, and I have also been witness to the fact that sometimes they don't have the support system that's necessary in order to get them through college. So my position is to advocate for mentors, to place them with a mentor who's going to keep in touch with them throughout their college years, to help them when they get into that low point where they don't really know what to do. So I think that mentoring is one way to effectively help those students who are in college, and also to be a resource even at the academy when they're away. You know, constantly keeping in touch with them, doing surveys, finding out how they're doing, giving them advice as to who they might contact on campus to give them that additional support so that they can continue and complete that process.
Excellent. Sure. At McKinley Tech, we really look to empower girls in terms of giving them a great sense of confidence, not only in themselves, but in their skills. They have to be very skilled at what they do. And we want them to be just as or better than anyone, regardless of gender, when they go to college. So we have lots of industry certifications that our students, both male and female, complete before ever stepping out of high school. Both in IT, engineering, and in biotech. There's a lot of certifications that industry approved and respected certifications that the girls are able to attain as they go into college. And so when they're sitting in that first freshman class, they won't feel like I did, where I, questioned where were the ladies, first of all, and then did I really belong there, and did I have what it would take to remain there. They will have no doubt that they do. They will confidently be able to display what they know and the certifications they have collected and be able to work very well in any environment.
Thank you. When we're thinking about issues of marginalized girls and where there's the intersection of all the different dimensions that go into the identity of a young woman, not just her gender, but race, socioeconomics, geography, where she grew up, sexual orientation, faith, everything that brings it together. Certainly inside of the workforce, we're finding that even with our women's initiatives, that we sometimes need different strategies. Women are not one all, monolithic body. And so I'm wondering, I was struck by, when I was thinking about this, and I reread the New York Times article I think most of you probably read that came out a couple years ago in October of 2013, and one of the people quoted was Meg Urey, who PhD from Johns Hopkins, MIT, and she talked about, women were leaving the profession not because they weren't gifted, not because of this, but because of this slow drumbeat of being underappreciated, fully uncomfortable, and encountering roadblocks along the way. And when you peel that back, these were women that were coming from, I wouldn't say privileged backgrounds, but I would say the majority background. And so when we're talking about marginalized girls, and you talked about what they know is poverty and struggle, what might we need to think about differently for marginalized girls in the context that this the need to be resilient and the need to go into situations where we don't have critical mass,